Thank you, Councilman Todd, for convening this hearing. And Kymone Freeman, we got radio, best social justice radio station in Washington, D.C. 2017, according to the Washington City paper, but what do they know? My first apartment as an adult was my grandfather's apartment in Shaw. This apartment had been in my family for over 30 years. But when the metro opened, maintenance slowed, rents increasingly soared, and I was forced to move east of the river. In 1970, when I was born, that community was 90% black. By 2010, it was only 30%. As Shaw received an influx of wealthy whites, property values dramatically increased 145% between 2000 and 2010. And this is well above the city's overall rate during the same time period. In the author Derek Hydra's New City article, Selling a Black DC Neighborhood to White Millennials, he says that no longer is the real estate industry erasing Washington's African American culture and history. They are now commodifying black branding. The transition of American urban no-go black zones to hip, cool places filled with chic restaurants, trendy bars, and high-priced apartment buildings defines the new gilded ghetto. If black neighborhoods are being branded and sold, black people and businesses must benefit. I strongly believe that the funding of the Office of African American Affairs boils down to this basic issue of economic justice for black people. We must benefit from the prosperity of this city and not continue to be victimized by it. It is on the backs of poor black people that budgets have been balanced and bond ratings protected, by this city cutting social safety net programs affecting only poor people before settlers began displacing natives in this neo-colonial economic structure. I further believe it is insulting to find it necessary for us to justify the need for such equitable action to benefit the very community that built this city, faced the greatest hardships in this city, and now been forced out of this city. Who is developing a retention plan for long-time residents and small businesses in this city? Who is looking out for us? Recently, I launched a campaign to bring the only bookstore east of the river, where there have been none, for over 25 years. Despite data showing clear correlations between literacy and crime, despite Wars 7 and 8 having double that of the national average of functional illiteracy, despite prison population projections being based upon third-grade reading scores and penal institution records showing that inmates who receive literacy help have a 16% chance of returning to prison compared to a 70% chance for those that don't. I have been repeatedly told, so what? You have libraries. Only east of the river or otherwise black communities would this be an acceptable second-class citizen response. I would expect a fully funded and functioning Office of African American Affairs operating solely for the benefit of black people to say unequivocally that in a city marked by deep disparities, with the highest rate of advanced degrees of any metropolitan area, yet 1 in 3 adult residents are functionally illiterate, to do something about it. I would expect them to point out that library books must be returned, which means there aren't many books in the homes of our poorest residents. And citing technology ignores the gaping digital divide and the absence of computers in residents' homes, in many homes. But yet the DC Community Access Network, DC CAN, under the Office of the Chief Technology Officer, promises to deliver affordable, value-added broadband services to community-anchored institutions primarily in the city's economically distressed areas, and has been grossly underutilized. I would hope the Office of African American Affairs will point out that police officers in our community should live in our community, just like our local representatives, to improve relations and avoid this perceived foreign occupying force we currently have. These things and a plethora of other issues can only be effectively addressed and achieved by a fully funded, fully staffed Office of African American Affairs that is equitably represented in proportion to our population. The longest sitting councilman, Jack Evans, said earlier this year during his swearing-in ceremony, for those who were here in the hard times, they get to stay here in the good times. We have the resources to provide a decent life for everyone in the District of Columbia. We just have to get it done. I hope that we can do that now and get this done.
My name is Emani Brown, a student at Virginia State University, a registered DC voter, and someone who wants nothing more than to see her people and culture flourish. Washington, D.C. was built on the culture, the creativity, the hard work of black people, and the things we get is underrepresentation and no budget or funding. The Office of African American Affairs should be able to provide and aid the community in improvement because we give so much to D.C. just to see us go nowhere. Housing is becoming overpriced and unreliable. We can't afford to stay in new condos. If we get the chance to, majority of the community is making significantly less than living wage. How come individuals are moving in, making the median income for the city $150,000, an income that I am not seeing, nor are a majority of the city, yet it's being made? How can we be pushed out of a city that we built from the ground up? Education is declining, and the fun fact is the east of the Anacostia River holds the highest percentage of illiteracy. People my age, and I'm 20 years old, can't comprehend what they read from a simple article. The office should be able to do something about that, such as building or supporting the bookstore on this side. Our blackness is being used for products that we don't see. New businesses are posting up beside liquor stores in black neighborhoods for the aesthetic, for the dangerous entertainment. The city is being taken over by people who think that it's cool to take a black creative and slap his name on a building that we can't afford to be in. Gentrifiers want to engulf themselves in our essence but don't want the people to be there, not knowing that we are the foundation to their success, and without it they will fall. We deserve better schooling, more focus on creating an outlet for the young creators, focus on not getting college funding / focus on creating opportunities for us to thrive in a city that wants to leave us behind. The offices of Latino and Asian and Pacific Islanders have great internship opportunities within their community, and we have nothing. They can provide jobs. What about those like myself who want experience in their field? It's already difficult for us to get corporate jobs or jobs in our field, so why not give a helping hand? We cannot prosper as a whole if we cannot get little things. Support the foundation of the city before it fails, and the city falls along with it. Give us proper funding and representation. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Gianna Duarte, and I'm a registered voter from Washington, D.C. I'm also a current student at Virginia State University. I'm here to address how the Office of African American Affairs can help the SYEP employees receive minimum wage. From working with SYEP each year, we don't really look at the money when we first start. We're usually about 14 or 15, making $5.25 an hour. We wasn't complaining then because we were glad we could at least get a job. 2 years go by and the hourly payment went up to $8.25 an hour for 16 and 17-year-olds. Still not minimum wage for teenagers who are actually placed in quote-unquote real world everyday jobs / careers. The minimum wage in Washington, D.C. from years 2014 to 2016 has increased each time period. Why hasn't SYEP changed their hourly pay? Why are we the workers who are above the age of 16 not even making the city's minimum wage, which is currently $11.75? Did you know the living wage in Washington, D.C. is $13.85? Washington, D.C. is one of the highest cities to live in afford housing. SYEP workers cannot save the hourly payment that they are paid now if they wanted to live and afford D.C. housing. How is making less than minimum wage going to help us in the long run for now? We might be used to making under minimum wage requirements. That's ridiculous. SYEP employees work hours outside or indoors and does the same thing an average worker or employee may do in his or her job, but just shorter and during the summer. That should be the every more reason to at least pay us minimum wage since we only work 6 weeks. SYEP is supposed to be an opening to the real world with jobs and giving us different careers and opportunities to explore. Doesn't the average worker deserve to be paid minimum wage in a city that they live in? Okay.
Thank you very much for your testimony, young man.
Good afternoon. My name is Darnell Hall from the 6th Street Northeast neighborhood located just a couple blocks off 8th Street corridor. And I'm here today to discuss the ugly truth of gentrification. The displacement and mistreatment of low-income residents by high-income residents is evident enough in my community alone. When the neighborhood is vastly improving to accommodate wealthier residents, it ignores the poor residents who take pride in their neighborhoods before they were whitewashed. What sense does it make to have a $1 million resident neighboring someone who lives below the poverty line? Newly built stores and housing will only accommodate the wealthier residents and hurt the pockets of the poor. I'm not saying change is good, but change is bad if it doesn't affect the community for the better. I've personally seen corner stores such as ABC Market shut down due to lack of business. Union Market changed right before my eyes, and Murray's firmly located on 6th and 8th Street Northeast turned into a Whole Foods with condominiums on top of it. I've seen my neighborhood go from a high crime rate area with no businesses to one of the most vibrant parts of DC. At what cost does it take to get there? The displacement of elderly through methods of offering them money, amounts of money they never seen before in their lives for their homes. The deaths and the imprisonments of friends and family you've seen or at least grew up with. To make a long story short, why couldn't my neighborhood be changed for the better with the black residents that once flourished the streets? Why did it have to be stripped of its memories and black residents in order for it to gain a beautiful financial flourish look to it? How much laws does the black community have to take in order for the high-paid whites to reside in our neighborhoods that we used to or currently call home? Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Chairman Todd, members of the Committee on Government Operations. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you regarding Bill 2318, the Office on African American Affairs Establishment Act of 2017, and Bill 22109, the Commission on African American History and Culture Establishment Act of 2017. I am Rockman Branch, Director of the Mayor's Office on African American Affairs. Mayor Bowser appointed me to this position during the opening week of Black History Month in 2015. With my appointment as the first ever Director of the Mayor's Office on African American Affairs, Mayor Bowser made a statement that the concerns of African Americans would be a priority for our administration. The Mayor's charge was clear to me: to serve as an advocate for and voice of African Americans in Washington, D.C., to work across government agencies to identify innovative solutions, to close the gap that exists in income, employment, and educational attainment for African Americans, and preserve the rich history, artistic and cultural legacy of African Americans in this once troubled city. Mayor Bowser recognizes that while our city's economy is thriving, too many of our African American residents have not shared in that prosperity, especially long-time African American residents located east of the Anacostia River. This past fall, the DC Fiscal Policy Institute released striking data that highlights the need for our office. Their report states that black residents are the only racial or ethnic group to see an increase in their poverty rate since 2007. Some 27% of the black population lived in poverty in 2015, and it's up from 23% in 2007. And nearly 3/4 of all district residents who live in poverty are black. While incomes have risen for white residents since 2007, the income for black residents has been stagnant. The report goes on to say that the median income for white DC households was $120,000 in 2015 compared to $41,000 for black households. To put this data in layman's terms, there's more work to be done to eliminate the inequities that African Americans experience in Washington, D.C. In our first 2 years in office, we've seen progress. I'm very proud to report that since January of 2015, the district's unemployment rate has decreased by 1.4 percentage points from 7.5% when Mayor Bowser took office in January of 2015 to 6.1% in May of 2017. Ward 7 and 8, the two wards with the highest unemployment rates and largest African American populations, have seen the largest declines. The unemployment rate in Ward 7 decreased by 3.8 percentage points from 12.9% in January of 2015 to 9.1% in May of 2017. The unemployment rate for Ward 8 decreased by 4.7 percentage points from 16.1% to 11.4% during the same period. The current unemployment numbers for Ward 7 are the lowest they've been since the Department of Employment Services started reporting unemployment data in 2002. These numbers are by no means a statement of victory, but they illustrate progress and highlight the distance we need to go to close the employment gap and income gaps that exist in the city. Over the past 2 years, the Office of African American Affairs has focused on increasing economic opportunity, expanding adequate housing and home ownership opportunities, supporting equitable educational opportunities, and ensuring that district agencies are intentionally inclusive of the African American constituency when programming and providing services throughout the city. In the area of economic opportunity, the office is working to build capacity for small business owners and residents looking to start or grow their business in the district. We're working with the Department of Small Local Business Development to develop a series of training sessions for African American small business owners and promoting ways for districts to support black-owned businesses. We're also working closely with the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Greater Economic Opportunity on Project 500, an initiative that provides training support to entrepreneurs from overlooked and underserved communities. And In fact, as part of Project 500, Mayor Bowser announced Ascend 2020, a program that will support the growth of minority, women, and veteran-owned small businesses in underserved neighborhoods across the district with a $500,000 initial investment from JP Morgan Chase. The funds from JP Morgan Chase will go towards increasing access to capital for minority business owners in the district. Coupled with the mayor's FY18 microloan investment, minority business owners from overlooked and underserved neighborhoods will have access to up to $1 million in capital to start or grow their business starting in fiscal year 18. Additionally, our office is focused on opportunities to grow African American home ownership. We know home ownership opportunities have historically been an integral method for building wealth in the African American community. Here in Washington, D.C., affordable housing options are critical to putting African American residents on the pathway to the middle class. Through partnerships with the Department of Housing and Community Development, ECHO D.C., and the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, my office launched Financially Fit DC, an economic security platform designed to assess financial health and provide resources, both public and private, to address financial stability for district residents. The office is also partnered with the aforementioned agencies and community partners that launched home buying clubs in Ward 7 and 8 to help long-standing residents achieve their dream of home ownership. Our other key achievements include launching the Space to Dream and hosting an African American Artist Vision Tour, serving as an appointee for the Resiliency City Cabinet, hosting a series of programs to celebrate Black History Month, including 2 free screenings of the Oscar-nominated documentary, I Am Not the Negro, with the film's director Raoul Peck, partnered with Project 500, and Impact Hub to launch a Black Business Pitch Competition and awarded $15,000 to Black entrepreneurs, held the Black Film Festival with actor and DMV native Lamont Rucker, co-hosted arts informational sessions in our office with Duarte Commission of Arts and Humanities Grants, participated in the Marion Statute Committee through the Commission on the Arts and Humanities, and most recently we commemorated the civil rights icon with the Julian Bond Bench of the Bailey Award, Councilman. As you can see, Councilmember Todd, our office is engaged in a number of key initiatives that are focused on closing gaps, while also celebrating and highlighting the contributions of African Americans to the art, history, and culture of Washington, D.C. To this end, we are in support of the Office of African American Affairs Establishment Act of 2017, and we look forward to working with you to further refine both the Office of African American Affairs Establishment Act of 2017 and the Commission on African American Affairs Establishment Act of 2017.